Today we're solving square root and other radical equations, which is 6-5. Our learning goal is that you will be able to solve square root and other radical equations, and you'll be able to check for extraneous solutions. So let's first start off with solving a equation with only one square root. So what you want to do is isolate the square root. You want to get it by itself. And then, in order to get rid of a square root, you have to square it. You have to square both sides. And always, always check your answers. Because you may get what is called extraneous solution, meaning you got a solution, but it did not work in the original equation. So you'll get 3 plus the square root of 25. And that's 3 plus 5. And 8 equals 8. So we're good. So 14 is the solution. Here's an equation that's in exponent form. So you still want to get it by itself. You want to get the expression with the rational exponent by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Like this. And then to get rid of a rational expression, you want to raise it to the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2 over 3 is 3 over 2. And then you have to do this side the same way. That way, those cancel. And in this one, I'm going to change to radical form to make it easier to simplify. Now, because this root is even, this is an even root, then you're going to have two possible solutions. So you're going to square root the 4, which is 2. 2 cubed is 8. So you have to do x plus 1 equals positive 8, or x plus 1 equals negative 8. So that means x would either be 7 or x could equal negative 9. So let's check them to make sure. So let's try 7 first. So 7 plus 1. We're trying to see if it equals 12. So that's 8 to the 2/3. That's the cube root of 8, which is 2 squared is 4. 12 equals 12. So 7 works. Then you want to try negative 9. Negative 9 plus 1 will also give you 8. And you're going to end up with the same thing as in the previous So -9 works too. Here's an extension from example 2, where it didn't start off as a rational expression, but it will. So you want to get the radical part by itself. So I'm going to subtract 1 first. And then I'll divide by 3. Then I'm going to change this to a rational exponent. Now I'll raise it to the reciprocal, which is 5/3. I'm going to change this to radical form. Now, this root is odd, so we only have one solution. One possible solution. So you get x plus 1. The cube root of 8 is 2. 2 to the 5th power is 32. Subtracting, and x equals 31. You want to make sure you check it. Okay, so we got 31 plus 1 is 32. So I'm going to do the 5th root of 32, and then I'm going to cube it. So the 5th root of 32 is 2. 2 cubed is 8. So I'm going to get 24 plus 1. So I get 25 on the left side and 25 on the right. So 31 is my solution. Okay, now let's solve radical equations. And what you want to do is make sure that the radical is isolated, so it's by itself. So I'm going to add the 5 over. Then I'm going to square both sides to get rid of the radical. Very important. FOIL. And then you want to move everything to one side so it equals 0. That way you can factor the FOIL and factor. Then use a zero product property so you can solve for x. So x could equal -6 or x could equal -3. We have to check and see. So we're going to get square root of 1, which is 1 minus 5. -4 does not equal -6. So -6 is what we call extraneous. Then I'm going to go over here and check -3. So I'm going to get the square root of 4. So 2 minus 5. -3 does equal -3. So -3 is our solution. -6 was extraneous. Okay, our last example, we have two radicals, and we want to isolate one of the radicals. It doesn't matter which one. So you're going to move, I would probably move the one that's negative over, if there is one. If not, then you just choose. And here's the thing, you would still square both sides. And don't forget, this means FOIL. And you may have to write it out so you can see the foiling process. So first, outer, inner, last. Then you're going to combine like terms. And then you want to isolate the radical again. I'm going to put isolate radical. And then, that way I can square both sides. You have to square both terms. And then you want to move everything over so it equals 0. And then you can factor. You set them equal to 0. And we must check our answers. So let's first try 0. So you get the square root of 1 minus 0. 1 equals 1. So 0 works. Then I'm going to try 4. The square root of 2 times 4 plus 1 minus the square root of 4. So I'm going to get square root of 8 plus 1, which is square root of 9. Trying to see if this equals 1. So 3 minus 2. So 1 equals 1. So they both work. So whenever there's two variables, you isolate the radical. I better put that. Isolate radical. Square both sides so you can FOIL. Isolate the radical. Set it equals 0 so you can factor it. And always, always check for extraneous solutions.